say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, Patriots. Welcome to another live version of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. We start off tonight with some sad news involving pro wrestler icon Hulk Hogan, who has passed away. He was 71 years old. He passed away in his home in Florida. Hulk Hogan was larger-than-life personality who rose to great heights in sports entertainment and had a successful career in the ring and outside of it. Hogan died after suffering what appears to be a heart attack at his home in Clearwater, Florida. The WWE released the following statement. We are saddened to learn WWE Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan has passed away, one of pop culture's most recognizable figures. Hogan helped WWE achieve global recognition in the 1980s. The WWE extends its condolences to Hogan's family, friends, and fans. Clearwater, Florida, where Hogan lived, police department released a statement that said Clearwater Fire Department and Clearwater Police Department personnel responded to a medical call at 9:51 a.m. today in the 1000 block of Eldorado Avenue on Clearwater Beach. The nature of the call was a cardiac arrest. A 71-year-old resident, Hulk Hogan, was treated by Clearwater Fire and Rescue crews before taken to Sunstar and Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. The news of Hogan's death came weeks after he was alleged to be having a health crisis. However, his wife, Sky, denied these reports, saying he was strong and was just recovering from having several surgeries. Hogan's family posted a statement on his Instagram page today. It is with heavy heart and deep sadness that we confirm we have lost a legend, the post said. Our beloved Terry Bogan, which was his real name, known worldwide as Hulk Hogan, passed away today, surrounded by loved ones. At this time of grief, we ask that everyone please respect the privacy of the family and friends. May we all take solace in the wonderful memories he left behind for millions of fans worldwide whose lives he touched for more than 4 decades. He will be missed but never forgotten. He is survived by his 2 children, Nick and Brooke, who he had with his first wife, Linda Claridge, and his current wife, Sky Daly. Hulk Hogan will definitely be remembered as a true American icon. For 8 years under President Obama, and 4 years under President Biden, the Democrat members of Congress refused to engage in any attempt to get the Epstein files released. The biggest blocker was Democrat Chuck Schumer. Donald Trump comes into office and now they want them released. One big-ass dog and pony show, if you ask me, by both parties, I might add, that we, the people, have been subject to. And it's not just the Epstein files. It's everything that both of these parties involve in. Both parties are experts in smoke and mirrors, deceiving, deception, and doing their damnness at suppressing anything negative about their own party, Democrats and Republicans. Well, that shit is coming to an end, like a freight train running full throttle headed towards a bridge that's no longer standing. Both Democrat and Republicans are about to be knee-deep in their own created crap. Exposure of both parties is about to be on full display for America and the world to see. Be careful what you wish for, liberals, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives. The truth about who was involved with Jeffrey Epstein is about to be revealed once and for all. The truth about former President Obama, Biden, and now Trump is about to be revealed. It's not going to be pretty for some people or for some of you. And as usual, anything negative about one party or the other, their supporters will continue to call fake news. It's going to get real really, really quick. A House panel yesterday voted in favor of subpoenaing former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Representative Scott Perry offered a motion during a House Oversight Committee subcommittee hearing to call on Committee Chairman James Comer to subpoena people with possible links to Ghislaine Maxwell, the imprisoned former associate of late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. I have a motion to subpoena the following individuals to expand the full committee's investigation into Miss Maxwell. And the list reads as follows: William Jefferson Clinton, Hillary Dwayne Rodham Clinton, James Comey, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, Robert Mueller, William Palm Barr, Jefferson Sessions III, and Alberto Gonzalez. That's the full list, Mr. Chairman, and that's the motion, Perry said. It comes after Representative Summer Lee, Democrat, Pennsylvania, a member of the Progressive Squad, has been pushing for a vote on her own motion to subpoena any files related to Epstein. Well, she got her wish, along with the rest of the liberals and Democrats out there. That motion passed in an 8-2 vote, also directing Comer to issue the subpoena. Republican lawmakers have dealt with a barrage of media scrutiny on Epstein's case over the last 2 weeks, although everybody was silent for 4 years under the Biden administration when Republicans were trying to get them released and Democrats wouldn't release them. It's a side effect of the fallout over a recent Department of Justice memo effectively declaring the matter closed. Figures on the far right have hammered Trump officials like Attorney General Pam Bondi, accusing them of going back on earlier vows of transparency. At Trump's direction, the Department of Justice is moving to have grand jury files related to Epstein case unsealed, although a judge refused to do it. Bondi is looking to rather imprison former Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell will speak with federal authorities as well. And she did today. The Department of Justice sent in people to interview her. They were with her for about 8 hours today, and she answered every question. At no time did she plead the fifth. And she will also be talking to them again tomorrow. They interviewed her in the federal prison. A House GOP-led motion directing Comer to subpoena Maxwell passed the House committee unanimously, and then the subpoenas were delivered. And the DOJ went in and started talking to her. Both Democrats nonetheless seized on the Republican discord with newfound calls of their own transparency in Epstein's case. Wednesday's hearing by the Oversight Committee Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement was unrelated to Epstein, but it's part of a pattern of Democrat lawmakers in the House using any opportunity to force Republicans into an uncomfortable political position on the issue. Representative Andy Biggs, another member of the subcommittee, successfully got Lee's amendment altered to also call for the release of Biden's administration's communications related to Epstein. So here's where we're at. The Department of Justice will meet with Epstein associate. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanchard met today with Ghislaine Maxwell. It comes as the judge declined yesterday to release grand jury documents on the criminal probe into the late convicted sex offender after Trump requested they be released. Trump's name is in these files. We know that. Along with many other powerful people, such as former President Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, Leslie Waxner, who was the founder of Victoria's Secrets, Enhu Barak, former Israel Prime Minister, Bill Richardson, former New Mexico governor, the late singer Michael Jackson, Stephen Hawkins, the author, and hundreds more. Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump that his name did appear in the so-called Epstein files when she briefed him in May, the files that the FBI has from interviewing all the witnesses and victims. In the House, the Epstein investigation and demands for many of Trump's supporters, Democrats and liberals, for more information has impacted big time. House Oversight Subcommittee voted yesterday to subpoena the Department of Justice for files related to Epstein. House Oversight Chair James Comer told reporters he'll move promptly to issue all the subpoenas needed to the Justice Department for Jeffrey Epstein files and seek depositions for more major figures, including Bill and Hillary Clinton and former FBI Director James Comey. We're going to move quickly on that, Comer said today, after a House Oversight Subcommittee voted yesterday to approve the moves. The Kentucky lawmaker also said he spoke with House Speaker Mike Johnson during the panel's meeting to let him know there was bipartisan support for the Democrat-led effort. So Democrats and liberals, stand by. Everything's going to be released. Let the cards fall where they may. We spoke yesterday afternoon during the subcommittee meeting, Comer said. Comer reiterated that he warned Johnson last week that his members wanted to take action on Epstein, as CNN had previously reported. I told Speaker Johnson last week, if we were in session this week, the Republicans and the Oversight Committee were going to move to be more aggressive in trying to get transparency with the Epstein files. And that, my friends, is about to happen. And you're going to get to see everything there is to see about the Epstein files. If this all goes the way it's scheduled as of tonight, when I went on air at 8 o'clock, you're going to get to see the names of everybody and everything that was said by witnesses, by victims, to include that we know for a fact were lies that were told by some of the victims and some of the witnesses that were discredited. Some of that against Donald Trump. So you're going to get to see what the victim had to say, and then you're going to get to see what the FBI found about the credibility of the person who claimed it happened. Same thing goes with Bill Clinton and all the rest of them, Democrats and Republicans. And I will continue to say it is my firm belief that no matter who, if it can be proven that any Republican or any Democrat joined Epstein on his island or in any of his homes to engage in sexual relations with minors, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, whether they're a former president or a sitting president. Sex with children is not okay, in my opinion. So we will see what they have to say. You wanted it, be careful what you wish for. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has released a second set of declassified documents and emails that prove the Obama administration worked hand in hand to destroy President Trump with the Russia collusion story. Now senators are asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to appoint a special counsel to investigate all the newly declassified information about the Obama administration's intelligence assessment about Russian interference in the 2016 election, which got the Russia hoax started, the collusion. Their call comes after yesterday's bombshell that the Department of Justice has created what they are now calling a strike force to investigate the evidence, which is declassified by the Director of National Intelligence last week and again today. The Senate Judiciary Committee did not address the strike force, but indicated in a statement that special counsel were outside officials brought in to oversee potential sensitive cases, operate independently of the Attorney General. As we have supported in the past, appointing an independent special counsel would do the country a tremendous service in this case. The statement read, the declassified intelligence shed new light on the Obama administration's determination that Russia sought to help President Trump in the 2016 election. The Director of National Intelligence said yesterday during a press briefing that Obama and his intelligence officials promoted a contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true when it wasn't. This led to Senate inquiry into the FBI's investigation into alleged Trump-Russia collusion that released a trench of documents in 2020 suggesting the Bureau had flimsy bias for opening its investigation into Trump. With every piece of information that gets released, it becomes more evidence that the entire Russia collusion hoax was created by the Obama administration to subvert the will of the American people. The following remarks from the Director of National Intelligence accusing former President Barack Obama of treason are now, after the Department of Justice opened criminal investigations into former CIA Director John Burnham and former FBI Director James Comey. Democrat and liberal critics say Tulsi Gabbard's claims have been contradicted by past congressional reviews, some of which were led by Republicans. Now, while true, they did not have the now declassified evidence in hand that has now come to light. Obama, meanwhile, issued a statement in response to the wave of headlines suggesting he attempted to hurt Trump's election chances. This came from his office. Out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of the White House with a response. Obama spokesperson Patrick Rodenbush said, but these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Of course they are, sir. If Republicans find evidence, it's a conspiracy, right? But when Democrats find evidence, it's the truth. This two-tier justice system that was started under Obama and followed up under Biden was watched very, very closely by the American people. Reported on often by people like myself, and is one of several reasons Democrats are no longer in charge of shit. Now, let me stop for 1 second and share something that I, right before I came on the air, was actually in the process of texting with a liberal Democrat. Well, I can't say that he's truly a liberal, but I can definitely say he's a Democrat. Who was saying, Doug, you need to pay closer attention to the Constitution about the word treason, especially when it comes to a president of the United States. And I'm going to give him one. That when Tulsi Gabbard throws out the word treason for Obama and his cohorts, that these documents and emails are proven, that treason is a little too far. It doesn't fit in the category by trying to, as far as the Constitution's meaning of treason, it doesn't fall under that category for prosecution. What we're seeing in the documents and emails that the Obama administration did with the whole Russia collusion thing. Okay? Aiding and abetting the enemy is what treason is about. And they weren't aiding and abetting an enemy per se. They were just going after their political opponent. That's criminal. They can be charged by the Department of Justice for many crimes, which I don't have time to go into right now. All right? Just look it up. You can't do what they did. You cannot make up your own stories of intelligence and change the narrative because you didn't like it to try and go after your enemy. What they did, what Obama did, what Biden did as vice president, what Loretta Lynch did as Department of Justice, what Eric Holder did when he was in the Department of Justice, what James Comey did in the FBI, what James Clapper did to the CIA, all these Obama officials, what they did was this whole Russia collusion thing was bullshit. We now know that. It was all lies. And they took the intelligence assessment that Russia was not doing anything to help the Trump campaign. They did not affect anything in the 2016 election that would have changed any of the outcome. And the Obama administration didn't like that, so they changed the narrative, and Obama himself directed them to find evidence, as in create it. And then they spun that and told it to the American people, which then started the whole Russia collusion bullshit. What they did is a criminal offense, but it doesn't add up to treason. That being said, Obama is guilty of treason. So is Joe Biden. I've been saying that for a long, long time now. Let me remind you, treason under the Constitution of the United States is when you are aiding and abetting the enemy. You're doing something for the enemy of America to help them. So, what did Obama do that was treason? Well, flashback to his first time in office when we had an army deserter in Afghanistan that deserted his post and he joined the Taliban. That guy was none other than Sergeant Bardog. Look it up, Google it if you don't know anything about this story. He was a deserter. Who gives a shit? He deserted and he went and he joined our enemy that was trying to kill us. The Obama administration treated it like he was captured by the enemy and we've got to get him back no matter what. Even though we knew from his command he deserted the troops, his unit, and joined the Taliban. And for well over a year, he was in their control, in their custody. In the search looking for him, trying to find him, many more American service members were killed in those operations to either capture Bardog or rescue him, whatever you want to call it. And when they finally found out exactly where he was and who had him, the Obama administration worked up a deal. They traded. The Taliban said, we will give him back to you against his will, because he doesn't want to go to America. He wants to be one of us. But we will give him back to you in exchange for X amount of millions of dollars in cash. And we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that they named that we had in U.S. custody at Guantanamo Bay that were terrorists caught on the battlefield responsible for IEDs and killing American service members. If you give us those 5 terrorists back and these millions of dollars in cash, we don't care about Sergeant Bardog anymore. We will give him to you. The Obama administration made that deal. That is treason. That is aiding and abetting not only the Taliban, the enemy of us, but even that army deserter who's now the enemy of us. And I've been calling for Obama to be charged with treason for that act for a long time. Then Joe Biden comes along. And in the withdrawal of American forces from Afghanistan, Joe Biden threw a time slot out there for American forces, for our military, that you have to be out between this date and this date, period, end of discussion. They weren't given any time to do what needed to be done, which is a proper withdrawal. First, let's get all the American citizens out of there. Let's get the coalition forces out of there. Let's get those that were in Afghanistan that were working with us to kill the enemy. Let's get them out of there. Then let's get our military equipment out of there. And then we pull out. A process that would take 6 or 7 months. And Joe Biden wasn't having that. Joe Biden said, fuck the American people and those that helped American forces and our coalition partners and the military equipment. Although they lied and said that the military equipment was ordered to be destroyed and was destroyed. We learned later in congressional hearings from the people that were responsible for destroying the equipment that they were given 48 hours to destroy billions of dollars of equipment and didn't have the time to do it. Or to relocate it in places where it wasn't going to kill innocent people that were now taking over those areas. So that equipment was left to fall in the hands of our enemy. Along with that, Biden then turned around and gave Afghanistan billions of our tax dollar money that was supposedly for the Afghanistan people that are now controlled by our enemy, the Taliban, who then is using it to do what? You think they were giving it to the people to help them? No. It was being used for more terrorist-related activity and to suppress women and put them back in the burqas and take them out of schools and send them back to becoming slaves again. And then they went after anyone that was left behind, that Biden just left to die at the hands of the Taliban that were helping to American forces to take them out. Those acts are treason. That's aiding and abetting the enemy, giving them billions of our dollars and billions of dollars worth of military equipment, armored vehicles, Humvees, ammunition, rocket launchers, helicopters, Black Hawks, tanks. The list goes on and on. Food, water, clothing. We left it all behind to fall into the hands of our enemy. But Biden wasn't done with treason right there. Oh no. The number one state sponsor of terrorism on planet Earth, Iran. Remember when Trump was in office the first time, he froze billions of their dollars so they could no longer support their terrorism efforts. Biden released that money and gave them those billions back. That's aiding and abetting the enemy. That money then went to support terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah and many others across the Middle East and in Europe, for that matter, to hurt, injure, and kill Israeli forces, American forces, our coalition partners, and innocent men, women, and children. That is treason. Obama, Biden committed treason. Throw everything that Tulsi Gabbard has to say when she used the word treason. I give it to you, liberals. That doesn't fit that category for Obama. But I just told you what does. And I will stick to that to the day they put me in the ground and I take my last breath. Former President Barack Hussein Obama and former President Joe Biden are guilty of treason. Now, Senator Adam Schiff is throwing cold water on Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard's assertion about the Obama administration's role in the pushing the Trump-Russia collusion narrative during the 2016 presidential election. I think what Gabbard and her staff are doing is dishonest and mistaken, and I'll leave it at that, Schiff said. But White House spokesman Davis Engel was quick to fire back in a statement saying, quote, pencil neck, watermelon head Adam Shifty Schiff was one of the chief propagandists behind the Russia collusion hoax. And yes, he was. He's now trying to desperately cover his own tracks as his entire lie is being exposed to the world. Remember how Adam Schiff continued to go in front of cameras at CNN and MSNBC and any liberal news organization that would point a camera and a microphone in his face and say he was sitting on the evidence to prove the Russia collusion and prove that Trump did? And we never, ever to this day saw his evidence even during the impeachment hearings. Why? Because it didn't exist. He made it up. He lied. Schiff, as you know, is now in the Senate. But at the time, he was in the House investigating Trump collusion with Russia to influence the 2016 election. As a ranking member and then chair of the House Intelligence Committee, Schiff was directly involved in the congressional investigation and became a leading Democratic voice accusing Trump of the 2016 presidential campaign of colluding with Russia. Should Obama and his team be held responsible in some way for pushing the Russia collusion narrative that was proven false to take down Trump? Fox News digital reporter asked Adam Schiff, who responded with, well, if you read the well-reported intelligence community report, you know, they documented Russia efforts to help degrade Hillary Clinton, which gave a boost to Trump's campaign, Schiff responded. Schiff was referring to the intelligence community assessment report from a 2017 that asserted that Russia goals were undermine faith in U.S. democracy process and to degrade former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and that Russia President Vladimir Putin developed a clear preference for Trump. In other news about Pencil Neck, the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a letter to the Department of Justice this past May, which I reported on here, alleging that Schiff has falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, impacting payments from 2003 to 2019 for a Maryland-based property. Pencil Neck responded to that by saying, since I led his first impeachment, Trump has repeatedly called for me to be arrested for treason. So in a way, I guess this is a bit of a letdown. And this baseless attempt at political retribution won't stop me from holding him accountable, not for a long shot. Adam Pencil Neck, shit for brains, for your days of freedom is limited. It's time for justice to be served in your ass for once and for all. And the sooner the Department of Justice does, the better for this country will be to put your ass in jail where you belong. You're a disgrace to Congress. You're a disgrace to the American people. And Adam Schiff, you're a disgrace to yourself. Now, let's move on to somebody else who's a disgrace. Joe Biden's worst enemy. Take a guess who that is. You think it's Donald Trump? If that's your guess, you're wrong. Joe Biden's worst enemy is none other than his son, Hunter Biden. That's right. He just can't keep his mouth shut. Now, Ambien is under scrutiny following recent claims about Joe Biden's use of the popular sleep aid. In an interview, which I posted on Tuesday with YouTube host Andrew Callahan, that was released on Monday, Hunter Biden said that the sleeping pills Ambien were the contributing factor in his father's apparent cognitive struggles during the first 2024 presidential debate. He went on to say he's 81 years old. He's tired as shit. They gave him Ambien to be able to sleep, the former president's son claimed. He gets up on stage and he looks like a deer in the headlights. And it feeds into a fucking story that everybody wants to tell, Hunter Biden said. Among the claims, some had voiced concerns about the former president's possible use of the drug, which has been linked to memory problems and daytime grogginess. Ambien, generic name Zolpidem, a prescription medication for insomnia, is intended only for short-term use. And you can find that in just by going to GoodRx and Googling it, or ask your doctor. Some of the more serious and rare side effects can include hallucination, abnormal thinking and behavior. I don't know, like possibly aiding and abetting the enemy and leaving behind billions of dollars of military equipment and giving them billions of dollars. Abnormal thinking and behavior, and possible increased risk of dementia in older adults. During the Tuesday appearance on Fox and Friends, political reporter and author Salin Zito commented on the president's alleged use of Ambien. For the guy who's supposed to answer the 3 a.m. phone call, it's bewildering, he said, or she said. I can't imagine a doctor prescribing to a president Ambien. I can't imagine that this has been a secret. The medication prescribed information warns of potential impairment of activities requiring complete mental alertness, including operating machinery or driving a motor vehicle, which can last until the day after taking it. Even the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, states that pilots and air crews will not fly within 24 hours of taking Ambien. All currently available sleep aids, both prescribed and over-the-counter, can cause impairment of mental process and reaction times, even when the individual feels fully awake. The agency states in its do not fly guidelines. So pilots can't fly for 24 hours if they're prescribed Ambien. Heavy equipment and machinery operators should also refrain from operating machinery within 7 to 8 hours, or ideally until the following day after taking the drug because of delayed cognitive and motor recovery, according to the manufacturer's prescribing information. Commercial truck drivers should not use Ambien. For drivers taking a prescription aid, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration states that a medical examiner will review each medication and request a letter from the prescribing doctor to determine whether the drug will adversely affect safe operation of a commercial motor vehicle. Experts also urge caution for law enforcement officers, first responders, and medical workers in acute healthcare settings due to the risk of slowed reaction time and cognitive fog and errors in judgment. But we can give it to the President of the United States? I think there may be times when physicians require sleep aids, but not in a way where that could interfere with performance during procedures, said Dr. Mark Siegel. For military personnel, the Department of Defense requires service members to get a minimum of 7 hours of sleep per night for military readiness. The Department of Defense has also cautioned about the psychological and cognitive negative side effects of Ambien. In fact, if a military doctor prescribed Ambien to aviators, they're grounded from flying until the drug is out of their system, which could take up to 12 to 24 hours after becoming awake again. Now, I personally, I'm speaking from experience, from having been prescribed Ambien by the VA for my issues with sleep. This is after I retired from the military and after 4 combat deployments and many issues that I still have to this day falling asleep. After being on Ambien for 3 months, I stopped it because I'd be told the next day by my wife of things I was doing in the middle of the night that I had absolutely no memory of, such as waking up at 4 a.m. and going into the kitchen and cooking a meal, or walking around outside at 2 a.m. for no reason at all in my underwear, or engaging in sex with my wife and having no memory of this whatsoever the following day. That's the kind of shit that Ambien does to you. In my personal opinion, it should be banned from use. Yet, the doctor, Biden's doctor, who recently pleaded the fifth during congressional testimony on what he knew of Biden's mental decline, subscribed to the President of the United States Ambien. And we only know that now thanks to his son, Hunter Biden. The hits just keep on coming. Sounds like medical malpractice to me, and a threat to national security. Maybe the Department of Justice should go after this doctor with a little bit of care. Moving on to other news. A school district in North Carolina has been ordered to admit their mistake, issue an apology, and give this student $20,000 after being sued for suspending a 16-year-old student who used the term illegal aliens. The statement was approved on Tuesday in the U.S. District Court of the Middle District of North Carolina, following a year-long battle after a 16-year-old student and his parents sued Davison County schools for the mischaracterization of radical bias in violation of the student's First Amendment rights. Although the parties initially moved to seal the revised settlement agreement, they have since withdrawn any request to seal any version of their settlement, Judge Thomas Schroeder stated in his Tuesday order. The 16-year-old student was suspended this past April of last year after using the term illegal aliens during an English class discussion. Do you mean space aliens or illegal aliens who need green cards? The student asked. The student was later suspended for 3 days, and marks denoting radical and sensitive behavior were added to his permanent record. In addition to the public apology required in the statement, McGee School must correct his permanent record so it no longer denotes racial insensitive and acknowledging the inappropriate response of this matter by our former member. However, per Schroeder's order, the statement does not amount to admission of liability or wrongdoing, as the Supreme Court has often reminded us the First Amendment presence. Students do not shed their free speech right at the schoolhouse gate. That it took a lawsuit and ultimately a court-approved settlement, including an apology to the student and the payment of $20,000. Is indicative of how far lost many educators have become in the wake of the previous administration's identity politics obsession. Sarah Parrish Perry, Vice President and Legal Fellow at conservative nonprofit Defending Education, said. No more, Perry continued, the mission of American education is rooted in the viewpoint diversity of a pluralistic society. Our hope is that Christians' ordeal Schools will think twice before venturing into unconstitutional waters and trampling on free speech rights of students. According to the Liberty Justice Center, McGee's mother spoke up in defense of her son after the incident happened, including at a school board meeting, which led to an alleged attempt to smear her. The center claimed that 2 board members sent messages to county leaders and residents with the mother's arrest record and encouraged people to post it on social media. You can only fuck up so many times before it catches up with you. Liberal teachers, liberal educators. A dispute over crime policies in Aurora, Colorado has led to the recall attempt of a newly elected liberal district attorney. Aurora Councilwoman at large Daniel Driskin is attempting to have the county district attorney, Amy Peden, removed from office after several high-profile instances of what she says are inaccurate crime policies, including a recent dismissal of charges against a man by the name of Solomon Galalian, a registered sex offender who is accused of trying to kidnap a child, and it was caught on video. What has been going on over the past 6 months? She has dismissed cases that absolutely should have been prosecuted. She has given a lot of probation for felony crimes, crimes that should have warranted several years in prison. Galligan, 33, faced 1 count of attempted kidnapping after he allegedly tried to snatch an 11-year-old boy from a playground at a local elementary school. Aurora police previously reported that Galligan is a registered sex offender with his registration tied to Pueblo County Sheriff's Office. He was found incompetent to stand trial, which the state of Colorado means he must be released into custody, according to Paden's office earlier this month. From what I understand, is that I don't know how else to put it, but that Amy Paden went shrink shopping to find someone to make sure that they would say that Solomon Gillian was not fit to stand trial. Driskin said, Aurora native, military veteran, and business owner. My knowledge of the individual is that they have been found mentally incompetent multiple times on previous criminal cases in different judicial districts outside of the county. So there is a history of documented mental illness. It's not like this is a one and done where the person has never been in anyone's radar and they found somebody to write them a note to say that they're mentally incompetent. And instead of coming out and saying that Amy Pedalin is at least going to hold this individual in a state mental health hospital, she makes statements that charges are going to be dismissed, and this individual is going to be released back onto the streets. She is trying now to walk that back and say that Solomon is going to a state mental hospital, but has yet to give a timeline or a date for this man to be there. Eric Ross is the public information officer at the county district attorney's office. Regarding the Gillian case, we cannot take a case to trial when a defendant has been deemed mentally incompetent, he said. So just let him continue to walk around the streets of Aurora, Colorado and rape little kids and kidnap little kids, and you're going to do nothing about it because you are a liberal piece of shit, madam. So now there's a recall in process to get rid of that bitch. And hopefully it will work and she will be gone very, very soon. Furthermore, the release of a twice deported rapist in Virginia is putting renewed focus on dangers posed by Democrat-led sanctuary policies that limit cooperation with enforcement and custom enforcement ICE. Guatemalan national David Galbero was collared by ICE last week after being set free by sanctuary jurisdiction Arlington County, who refused to honor a federal detainer and released him without notifying ICE. In a video that was released, Galbero is seen roaming the local streets before ICE initiated his arrest. He had entered the U.S. illegally in 2014 and was convicted of felony rape in 2015. He was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison, although a portion of his sentence was suspended. He was released into ICE custody in July in 2017 and deported to Guatemala, but re-entered the U.S. again at an unknown date and time. He was then arrested again for a probation violation, deported again in 2020, only to re-enter again. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons blasted the release, telling the news media it puts agents and the public at risk. This is a whole reason why sanctuary jurisdictions do not keep America safe. It lets criminals back on the streets so they can reoffend once again. He is just one of many illegal aliens that are on our streets, arrested for horrible crimes against innocent women and children, and district attorneys that are liberal letting them back out on the street again and not allowing ICE to get them from the facility that they're being held in first. And that is a threat to we the people. Folks, you had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I thank you very, very much. Whether you're watching me tonight live from a YouTube or Rumble or X, formerly Twitter, or Facebook, we're going out live on the Douglas Ducote Show Facebook page as well now. Please subscribe. Share this channel with your family and friends, as well as the videos that we put up and the live show after the show's over with and it becomes just a regular video. Let people know about the Douglas Ducote Show, and also remind them that if they subscribe to the show and ring the little bell and they don't hear anything from Douglas Ducote after a week or two, it's not because I went away. It's because YouTube is up to their little games again, and they are once again unsubscribing people hundreds at a time from the YouTube channel. Yep. Once again, I'm receiving the text, not the text message, but the emails from you guys telling me, Doug, I keep being unsubscribed from your show. What the hell's going on? And then, of course, I can go into the back end of my channel and I can see, boom, 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 all these people just being unsubscribed for no apparent reason. It's not them doing it. It's YouTube doing it. You will remember, those of you that have been following me for a long time, that we were almost up to 400,000 subscribers on just the YouTube channel. Last week, we were 122,000. Tonight, we're at 121,000. Because YouTube is just randomly unsubscribing people. That is Nazi censorship 101. Once again, they promised me they would stop doing this shit, which is what brought me back to the YouTube platform. If you remember, I left them for a while and said I'm done with that bullshit. And then I got together lawyers and we were going to sue the shit out of them for what they were doing to me. A class action lawsuit along with a bunch of other conservative YouTubers that are also being censored by YouTube. And then YouTube decided that they would stop doing this, and they issued an apology to us. Well, now they're back to their same game once again. So, if you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and I hope you do, to all my channels, then remember that if you don't hear from me, look, I post stuff on YouTube, for instance, almost daily, either in the community section or a video or the show every Tuesday and Thursday, videos in between. So if it goes more than 2 or 3 days and you don't get a notification that Doug Ducote posted something on YouTube, go check and see if you've been unsubscribed, because that's what's happening. And that's pretty fucked up if you ask me, or anybody else for that matter. It's just not right. But thankfully, across all my social media platforms and our website, douglasducote.com, we have over 1.6 million people following what we do here. So to all those that work behind the scenes that you don't see on a regular basis, our moderators, those that help us conduct business, special shout out to them. We thank you from the bottom of our heart for all the hard work you do. It's paying off. Hopefully, by the end of this year, we will be over 2 million people that are following this show. We have well over 20 million people that have viewed just the YouTube videos. So we're making an impact no matter how hard they try and continue to do censorship. Whatever you're going to do this weekend, please be safe, have fun. If you can spend time with family and friends, please do so. Please let them know how you feel about them, because we're only in this life for a very short period of time, and then we have to move on. And the worst thing is for somebody to pass away that you loved, and you know that they left without knowing that you loved them, and vice versa. Okay? So look out for one another. Remember that we have people right here in America waiting to do you and me harm, especially our veterans, which we haven't even discussed, but we probably will talk about this some next week, where in Florida, the Department of Defense is warning veterans to be cautious because there are active threats against their lives by Middle Eastern terrorist organizations, and especially Iran, because it's easier to target veterans than it is the U.S. military to get on the military bases. And veterans seem to do things sometimes that out in public that we shouldn't do, like having stickers all over our vehicles talking about serving in the military, or wearing shirts out in public because we're proud of our service. Remember that there are some people out there that might see that and see you as an easy target. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless each and every one of you, even you hateful, bigotry liberals out there. I pray for you. And you should, if you believe in the power of prayer, do the same. Thank you all. God bless you, and have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And I'll see you next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. If something happens of major importance to American patriots between now and then, I'll either put a video out about it or I'll do a special live broadcast about it. Until then, take care, everyone.